Sense for them, if they had known, or if, and maybe some of this is just the timing that kind of screws them, but I think Justin Verlander would have made a lot of sense for this Yankees team.
Yeah.
On a similar deal that he took with the Mets, very high AAV, but for only 2 or 3 years, to let the Yankees keep this competitive window open while they try to figure out what a judgeless future looks like. But
yeah,
it really is going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do, because I mean, unless they're looking at Carlos Correa or thinking about, which teams are interested in Gleyber Torres, like, I don't know what you do, especially because I think we noted before the offseason started, like, the outfield market is bad this year. With the exception of Judge and Brandon Nimmo, it's a really bad one. To say nothing of the fact that even guys like Cody Bellinger, who I think would have made a lot of sense as kind of a part of a Judge replacement, as a guy who's, they think is who's great defensively and who might have been helped by the short porch in Yankee Stadium. Too late. He's going to the Cubs now. So I think, I am going to be really interested to see if Judge leaves, what the Yankees do, because I think the only other team this offseason where I've looked at and gone, quite frankly, I don't know exactly how you're planning on getting from here to to an opening day roster where we feel comfortable calling you maybe not real contenders. Better said, I don't know if there's a team that I've looked at this offseason and gone, wow, you have a lot of work you need to do somehow, is the Dodgers too. Another team where none of the available free agents really made a whole ton of sense for them, especially as we've noted before, like, they're not a team that gets in on these big, long deals for guys like Judge or Garrett Cole. But I think there need to be some trades made there, though, because there are a lot of spaces on that Dodgers roster where you're like, that's the plan? Gavin Lux, opening day shortstop? Okay, sure. But similarly with the Yankees, like, I would love to know what they plan on doing about right field going forward, because if it isn't Judge, there are not a whole lot of great options there.
I'm just not worrying about the Dodgers. They deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about the Dodgers. I'm just really curious what they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, now that you've re-signed Brian Cashman, though, right? He gets a 4-year extension. I think he gets a bad rap by and large. I mean, I think he's a solid. It could be way worse. Like, my thing with Yankees fans, it could be so much worse than Brian Cashman.
He's still one of the smartest, most thoughtful, just in regards to how to assemble a team. I think there are some ways in which Cashman doesn't exactly, but I don't know. Like, he does the job you would want him to do, and he does it well. Like, so much of what these guys do, the GM, I think, is better understood as the guy who can best put the team in a place to succeed, but the actual success, there are more factors to it than that. And I think more often than not, far more often than not, Cashman puts his team in a position to succeed in a way that other general managers simply are not as good at doing. Yeah. Some of that obviously is having a lot of money, but as we've seen the last really decade at this point, the Yankees don't have the unlimited, the credit card with no limit anymore.
Right.
They're, with the exception of guys like Cole, and I would have expected a guy like Judge, the big spending is not really there. And I think that obviously makes Cashman's job harder, but I think he's still one of the more creative, clever. I mean, the Jordan Montgomery, Harrison Bader trade alone, that almost got the Yankees to the World Series.
Yeah.
Via what Bader did in October, and it worked exactly the way Cashman planned it to. He dealt a starter as depth he didn't need, although...
And we were wondering about it. We were like, is this the worst trade of the deadline?
I mean, maybe you could argue that Montgomery would have been valuable in some capacity down the stretch or in the postseason, but it's hard to argue he would have been more valuable in October, I guess, than Harrison Bader, who was probably the Yankees' best hitter in October. So, and Bader, a guy now who's going to be there next season, who'll be able to play center field for them, is a great defender, and and at the very least should help mitigate somewhat the blow of losing Judge. I mean, imagine if the Yankees went into this offseason with the need to replace Judge and also get a new center fielder. That probably puts them in a place where they would have had to sign Brandon Nimmo, but we're obviously, this is all speculative and predicated on the Yankees not signing Judge, but I do think you're right that I don't know that I give them, for as much as I like Cashman, I don't know that I give them the benefit of the doubt in how are you going to fix this? Because this is, if Judge leaves, that is a real problem with no easy, obvious solution.
No, and then you look around the league, I don't even know, like, they're just calling about Otani over and over again. They're just calling Otani.
Have fun with that, because part of the Dodgers not really spending this offseason is because next year they are going to offer Shohei Otani a $500 million contract.
Yeah.
So good luck with that when the richest team in baseball, and also the richest owner in baseball in Steve Cohen, is like, hey, you know what I'd also love to have in my Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander rotation? Shohei Otani. Like,
can we do this though? Is this a bad baseball fan or a bad sports fan if I'm like, can we do like I want the soccer loan type thing. Can we loan Mike Trout to the Yankees for the next 3 to 5 years, and then Otani to the Dodgers just to see what it looks like?
It would be we need like a preview of what that would do to each team,
right? They would be used well. It would be fun. We get to see them in playoff baseball.
There are a lot of things about soccer I'd love to see brought to baseball, relegation primarily among them, but excuse me.
Apologies to the Pirates for never getting back to Major League Baseball under those circumstances.
You know what? I think we're okay with that. I think given that their major moves to date have been signing Carlos Santana and Vince Velasquez, like I think that's basically what a AAA team does anyway, so I think I'm fine with making them officially permanently AAA. But regardless, yeah, this is boy, like I do think there is if anything, if Judge does walk, I mean, we already have, but I think you and I could spend like an hour just talking about what do the Yankees do now, because the ripple effects and the potential downstream effects of him leaving New York and what that does for them going forward, they're just massive, to say nothing about what impact does that have just simply on the AL East in 2023. If the Yankees lose Judge, and obviously there's a whole offseason left still to figure out how they patch that hole, but do we start talking about Toronto as a favorite in the division? Do we start talking about the Rays maybe having some space to operate? Do we start talking about the Orioles being like a bigger dark horse, or however you'd want to put that? I don't know. But I'm really interested to see where this goes, and I do think at some way or another we're going to get an answer in San Diego as to where Aaron Judge is going to be next year. I don't think the winter meetings ends with him still not on a team.
Speaking of San Diego,
yes,
my favorite and we'll turn this into the Phillies, but Trea Turner had a higher offer from the Padres,
by like
reportedly
$50 million too, not by an insignificant amount of money. They offered him more. The Padres offered him more than the Mets gave to Francisco Lindor with his extension, and that was $10,341.
God bless the Padres and AJ Preller, man. He doesn't stop.
No, he traded Trea Turner literally like 3 months after he was drafted, and he has been trying to get Trea Turner back like ever since. It's very funny.
Do you think that's why he didn't take it? Like it was something so petty like that, where he's just like,
it's like, well, you could have had me forever,
right? And you just you traded me, so you're not going to get my abilities over the next couple of years. And I mean, you get to reunite Turner and Harper in Philadelphia, but like that has me wondering. I mean, is this the Dansby spot now? Does Dansby take that money for San Diego? Like the fact that Trea Turner was offered that, the Padres. I mean, they have every right to be like. I just wonder if maybe that's the other thing we need to wait for. Is Fernando Tatis the Yankees pivot? Where
man, I don't know about that.
I think there's a strong possibility that they're looking around. They're like, we're so close, but we cannot count on Fernando Tatis Jr. anymore.
See,
why else would you go all in?